Why, thank you. Good morning. Are you guys hungover? Excellent. We are going to wake your asses up this morning. All right, here we go. So I'm so excited to talk about this. At Wonderman, we were getting all these questions from our clients. What is loyalty, right? What does it mean? How do we drive loyalty? Is it more data? Is it better analytics? Is it a combination of creative and all of those different factors? And we thought, you know what? We want to do more than come up with just an answer. We want to come up with a strategy. We had to really think about this. So we did the research, and you guys are a really smart group of people. You know this. It's so hard to capture people's attention today. And we realized it wasn't so much about the data or the analytics or the creative. We needed to ask different questions. We needed to pivot and change the whole focus. And so the idea is that, look, we all have our phone in our hands 24/7. So what does that mean? It means that all of us have access 24/7 to amazing. We have access to the best products, we have access to the best services, the best stories, the best prices, which means that everyone has access to amazing. No one is going to settle for average. Why should you? None of us do. You're all consumers. So the questions we have to start asking is, instead of looking and seeking loyal consumers, we actually have to start asking, how do we become in service to our customers? How do we start becoming loyal brands? And that is the concept behind wantedness, this research study that we did. The idea is, for brands, for employers, for people, it's all about trying to find ways to prove at every step of the customer journey that you're in service to their needs. So it's a particularly timely topic, and I'm so excited to be able to have this great panel here to answer some questions. You guys ready? Woo! All right, it's gonna go quick. All right, I'm gonna start with Kirsten. So Kirsten's at Microsoft. You guys have had a really interesting few years. A lot of innovation, change in leadership, some really interesting ways of looking at things, and a really visible, and I mean visible, commitment to listening to your audience and your customers. Can you tell us a little bit about that culture change and what that's doing to your role, and how that's really having an impact on the whole company, I guess, is the way to look at it?
Yes, definitely. Let's see. Well, I'll probably start with, before I talk about listening. Listening kind of ties into a broader initiative at Microsoft, and to your point, a cultural shift that we've been making. So over the last few years, we've been really shifting from the notion of earning customers to the idea that we need to earn fans. And when you think about earning fans, that's something that is a higher order aspiration. It goes beyond just having a relationship with a customer, but how do you create a fan? How do you create someone who not only uses your products, but will advocate for you and loves your brands? And so listening is a huge part of that, which is you can't earn a fan if you don't understand your customers. And that means you need to understand their needs, you need to listen, you need to respond, and ideally have a two-way dialogue. So there's a couple examples I would offer. I work on our consumer brands, and so I'll first talk a little bit about Windows. We have a program called the Windows Insiders Program. So it's one of the largest software preview programs in the world, and we have over 10 million people who download builds of Windows and give us feedback. And so we've had over 70 million pieces of feedback over the years through this program. It helps us to do everything from address bugs, but also new feature ideas. And one of the core mottos of that program is about listening and learning and co-creating with our consumers and our fans. And then we also have a program in Xbox. I'll try to
Can you guys
be
hear?
Loud. We have a program in Xbox, so I'm lucky enough to work on Xbox, called Xbox Feedback. And so this is a program and a site where our gamers can come and give us feature ideas and vote on other ideas. And so this is something we get over 8 million visitors a year who come and tell us what games they want, what features they want, what chat features they want. And so it really gives our engineers a way to understand directly from our customers what they care about.
So that's a shit ton of feedback. That's the technical term, I guess. So I want to hear about how you guys are going to implement that. We're going to come back on that because I think that's a topic for a lot of people in the room. I just want to see, how many people are here from brands? Raise your hand. How many are here from agencies? Okay, and tech platforms, startups? A lot of you guys. Okay, so it's a big question. How do you take all that feedback and activate it? So that's actually a really good question for you, Matt. Matt's from T-Mobile. We'll talk about that in a second. And you guys have really elevated listening to a whole other level, because you listen to complaints and issues around an entire industry. Cell phone, mobile, that's a whole tough industry. And I would say, as the uncarrier, you guys have elevated listening to not a marketing strategy, but almost like a mission. How, as the uncarrier, are you taking listening, like Kirsten said, and really putting that feedback into your products and services? What's next? How do you do that? How, for the startups here, how do you take that and really put that into practice at a company?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. First, let me see my customers. Where are our customers? Who's with T-Mobile out there? Anybody, please? All right, thank you. Thank you all for being a loyal customer. This journey started 4 years ago. We sat down and said, okay, we're a big company, we're a big brand. Mobile's important. I guarantee every one of you has a phone. Probably checked it twice already since this talk started. We sat down and said, well, wait a second, it's wrong, it's broken. No one likes their carrier. People hate their carriers. What's going on? So what we did, we just started asking customers, what do you like, what do you hate? And then we looked at the list of things they didn't like about the category, and we just fixed it. We changed it. We took bold moves. The number one thing we did is got rid of contracts, right? Made us a lot of money because it forced customers to stay with us, but it was very empowering. And that journey, once it got started, it was like a ball rolling down the hill, right? If all you do is listen to customers, ask them, what do you like and what do you hate? Do more of what they like and change what they hate. Take big steps, bold steps. A lot of what we've done in the marketplace, we've got revenue, we've got different costs from that, but you got to be decisive, and you got to say, well, this is going to be different. We've got this idea we have is if we make something right for customers, we earn their loyalty every second of every day as you go forward, right? Loyal customers aren't born. When they come to our brand, they come because they saw something they wanted. It's up to us from day one, second one, to deliver on that through every point in the interaction and the customer experience. We built systems and processes to listen to customers. I'm the first one, I fully embraced it as a consumer. I feel like it's my right to the brands I do business with, let them know how I feel. We all know how that's done. Apps, companies out there rate my service, right? What I do is I give everyone a 1 to see what happens, to see what the brand does. If the company responds to my 1 in a way very quickly saying, what's going on? I know they're there to serve me. And that's how I aspire T-Mobile to work as well. We've got feelers out everywhere, whether it's social, whether it's direct to our CEO, whether it's me. If you have an issue, email me, I'll take care of it. We put that one-to-one interaction at the heart of everything we do, because we know when we do that, we deliver the promise to customers that they want for our brand in the marketplace.
Wait, we're the T-Mobile customers? He really does. If you email him, I swear to God, he'll respond. So if it's something you don't like, email Matt. I love that. Thank you. So, Mark, thank you for coming today. It's been an interesting few weeks. And I know that, lots of companies have challenges. You guys really stepped up and made a point of saying actions speak louder than words. People are listening. We're all listening now. Can we talk about a little bit about how you guys are feeling and what you've learned, so that in this room full of friends, we're all friends here, what have we learned? What can we expect for the next couple of months from you guys?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Obviously it's been a really tough couple of weeks for United, and obviously if you're sitting in the marketing chair, it's even more difficult. We made some really bad mistakes. We made some really bad mistakes, and that was clear, and everybody around the world got to see that. What we're doing now is we're doing the right thing. We're fixing it. We're putting policies in place to make sure what happened 3 weeks ago can never happen again. Not only that, but we're going to take a lead in the industry to make sure it doesn't happen anywhere in the industry. But we're going to go much further than that, right? Because we have been on a path for so long around putting the customer at the center of everything we do. And you talk about loyalty. Loyalty in the airline business today, it's about the passenger experience. Yes, most of you probably belong to frequent flyer programs and participate in the loyalty programs, But that really comes after you have decided you found a carrier that you enjoy spending time with. And so, Kirsten talked about co-creating. We co-create all of our products now. Our Polaris product that we recently launched, that was a 3-year project that was created by customers and flight attendants. And so everything we do to get to loyalty really starts with the customer experience. Once we have your loyalty, then we can get in and do all of the real cool, tricky things with data-driven marketing and CRM and the Mileage Plus program, but it all starts with providing a great experience. We breached that trust a few weeks ago. That is going to be fixed, and that will never happen again, and we're just going to go from there.
Can you just explain, Polaris is the Ultra Luxe, because I don't know that people are aware of what that is.
Yeah, so Polaris is our new international business class product. International business class really had not been reinvented for years. Even if I looked at the product that we had, it was basically a product that was invented 20 or 30 years ago, and there had just been minor incremental changes. So we completely threw that out. We actually took passengers to the Boeing Dreamliner Gallery in Seattle. And for overnight studies, we actually put them in a simulated cabin so we could co-create an experience with real flight attendants and real passengers. So when we launched a new product, it was based on the very specific needs of the customers through real life experiences. And it's turned out to be an absolute terrific product because of that.
I love the idea. Please come for a focus group, sleep over in our hangar. It better have been comfortable.
And the funniest thing is the cameras watching people sleep. It was quite an interesting experience.
Wow, considering some of the flights that I've been on, I don't think I'd really like anybody to see me when I'm sleeping on an overnight flight. It's not a pretty sight.
Right.
But you said something kind of interesting. All three of you touched on this theme about data and analytics, and you get a lot of information. You said 70 million responses. I mean, I know people are constantly responding. How do you keep in mind that you're getting all this data and then it's coming from people, it's not personas? Like the best data, the best analytics, it doesn't matter if you don't put into place the fact that you're talking to a human being on the other end. So how do you culturally internalize that and really exhibit something that shows, hey, I know I'm talking to a person as opposed to a persona or a number? Anybody want to jump in? I don't know if that speaks to either of you guys.
One thing that we do at T-Mobile, and a lot of the things that we do two things. Whenever we launch a new product or service or want to make a change, the first thing we do is we go and we do this thing, I call it the red face test, which basically says, me as a marketer, as a product owner, I'm putting something into market. Every single piece about that, I want to put it in words about, I'm sitting across the table talking to the person about this experience, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Every single policy, every single term, every single condition, do I feel good to sit down across from you, Jamie, and say, well, this is why it works that way, and feel like that can come across right. That's part about how you get to a more personal interaction and not like a big business, talking to consumers. The other thing that we do is we also try and step out of the way, right? When you think about it, T-Mobile, everyone's got a cell phone. I have very easy opportunities to communicate with customers.
Right.
I spend most of my time not communicating, because that's what people want. That's how you are honest and truthful with people, is just stand out of the way, let the conversation go. And when there's something that needs to be said or responded to, do it in the moment, instantaneously. You can often take weeks or months to talk about something. What we found is if what's real and honest in today's world and economy is instant support, instant conversation, and being truthful about what's going on, as opposed to trying to be more corporate or not that way.
Which is kind of an interesting transition, because your CEO has recently talked about, it's a cultural approach, and we talk about operating in the culture, not the category. And culturally at Microsoft, it's about being a student and learning. Can you share a little bit of that with the audience? I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been at Microsoft for over 15 years, so I've seen the company go through a lot of change. And the last few years, our CEO, Satya Nadella, has had an amazing impact on the culture. He himself is what he calls a lifelong learner. Like, he is intellectually curious, and that's something that he is really cultivating across the company and celebrating. He recently had a quote that I loved, which was, "We don't want people that are know-it-alls, we want people that are learn-it-alls." And really, that creates a culture where you can and should question. You can and should seek external perspectives. You shouldn't expect you know everything. You shouldn't expect that because you've done it this way before, that's the right way to do it. And I think for all of us here as marketers, that's a super inspiring culture to be in. And I think just this notion of being a student, and you talk about, I love your quote and theme about operating in the culture and not just the category. So, where do you find inspiration from others, and, how do you relate to others? I think it's super motivating.
And I think it's interesting because these are three you could call them legacy brands, even though you've, relatively new. But the idea of operating in the culture also means that you're competing against startups who are digital natives. Many of you, there could be somebody in this room right now who has a complete industry disruption idea that we don't know about, and I'm sure you do, and you'll all be awesome. Your competitive set has shifted. How are you listening and learning and looking at what's going on there? Any surprises, anything that you look at, you see that's happening out there in the startup world that you think, oh, that's something that we should be paying attention to? Because you're not just competing. One of the things that we found in our research is that you're not just competing against your traditional competitive set, you're all competing against Amazon or Spotify or whoever it might be, or these startups in the room. Any thoughts?
I mean, in the travel category, I would say it's about experiences. People want onboard experiences, but when they buy air travel, they're buying a vacation or an experience for their family or whatever. And so we're competing with experiences everywhere. Whether that's an experience that you have with a Microsoft product because I can't get my kids out of the basement playing video games, or it's the best new restaurant in town. And so that's why it's all around creating a customer experience. And if you win the hearts and minds with a great experience, then you can pull them into your marketing programs, and then you can start creating enterprise value from the customer. But you have to be so customer centric from the start and create great customer experiences to bring them back over and over.
And that experience starts much earlier. So now with digital, it's starting from the second somebody starts typing in and saying, I travel, whatever it might be, and then all the way to the, what kind of peanuts do you want? That's a whole different customer journey that brands now have to be conscious of from start to finish, which sometimes you don't control all of those elements, as we all know, and it can be a little bit more challenging. Any brands or anything that you guys have seen out in the marketplace that you think, wow, they're getting it really right? Any story where you've personally seen somebody do something that you think, oh my God, that's just the best customer experience example? I know we were talking about it last night. You had one.
Yeah, I was going to say. A company that I've been inspired by is Warby Parker. So I think that's a brand where everything from the mission of the company to disrupting an industry to just every step of that journey, whether you're online or in retail, there's just moments of delight. And so that's something that the concept of being a student, I find that I pay much more attention to what other companies are doing, and I find that inspiring versus threatening, which is, I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. It's a higher bar. So that's an example that I would offer as a company that I think is doing a great job.
And I think one of the things that Matt had said that I don't want to gloss over, I thought it was really interesting, is that we have an obligation as consumers to give feedback to companies because our expectations are so high. It won't get better unless we ask for it and we communicate that. And now we all have the ability to do that. Hard to hear sometimes, but really important. It's a bit of a report card, but it's part of what we're all doing. We're all capable of doing better, and consumers, employees all have higher expectations, and I think they're just going to continue to get much higher. We have about 30 seconds left. Anybody have a final, I know it went so quick. Anybody have a final word of wisdom from many of the startups that are in this audience? Something they should think about as they're embarking on this journey with customer service?
Just keep the customer at the center of everything you do, whether it's digital, physical, or a combination of the two. Do the right thing by the customer, and you'll do the right thing for your company.
Excellent. On that note, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.